many people right from the beginning have always, emphasized that people must cultivate morality in them.
Mhm.
Those people have a sense of understanding between what is good and what is bad. These people are basically called virtuous, which
Mhm.
means they really don't need these, fear
Mhm.
to be hovering on them, and only then they perform good. These people are internally so convinced and so clear about the norms of the society, about the need of the society as to what are those essential factors which really help govern the society.
You simply want to say that if you want to know your true nature,
Hmm.
then keep yourself aloof from people and then see how you behave. Because
Obviously,
then the real person in you will come out, and then
obviously,
you'll be able to see what you are, what you really are. Otherwise, we are so good at acting that we
yeah.
are wearing so many masks. People cannot identify us. People say that he's my good friend, but you don't know that he's not actually, because he's wearing this mask which you are unable to identify, or you cannot fathom. Democracy depends on laws. But what I believe is laws alone cannot make a successful democratic country, because a lot depends on people's being morals. For example, if we don't have morals, then we don't have sense of duty, right? And we don't have sense of responsibility. And we have to become very much responsible towards building a successful nation. And that is only possible when people are, and they are following morals, right? So this is something which we have to talk about. Whether democracy needs morality than laws. What do you think about it? Before we go deeper into it, let make it very clear to the audience that what do we mean by very much rooted into the morals.
Okay. Okay. So I think every sovereign country has a certain mechanism, and that mechanism is quite helpful in providing a smooth operation
Mm,
uh, between humans' interactions, especially on social, economic, and platform or political level, right?
mhm.
We also know that we humans are also a bit of animalistic nature.
Yeah.
The time when we take the surveillance away from us,
Mm,
we start behaving in our instinct or the very natural role, that is
mm,
the animal.
mm,
And therefore, it is often required that why we should not have a certain kind of, surveillance
mm,
for 24 hours,
mm.
under which we could be acting morally, even why not right from within,
Yes.
because there are two forms of your conduct.
Mm,
One, that you think something is right, and therefore you have to be consistent
mhm,
with that righteous thing or
mm,
towards that thing. And the second, you do that under a certain kind of fear, which is
mm,
basically the one that generates from a
mm,
certain kind of punishments provisions as laid down in different constitutions or different legal books, right? Now, the option before us is that whether you want to cultivate morality without the apprehension of fear, or you want to carry out your conduct under the fear of law, and
mhm,
only then you act morally. Now
mhm,
the choices is ours, and in
mhm,
this video we will try to discuss as to which is really important,
mhm,
since we are talking about society and its development at the larger level, and moreover a sustainable development, not
mhm,
a transient one. So we will try to
mhm.
see where it goes.
It is just like training a lion. Lion is far more ferocious than a human being.
Yeah.
But you must have seen a man training a lion in the circus. They have got, you can say, a whip in their hands,
Right.
or something which they can scare the lion with,
Right.
right? So there is a kind of fear, and that, which is why they are acting according to the instructions given by the instructor, right? In the similar fashion, if we don't have any law and we don't use force, so we'll find that there is nothing but jungle raj,
Mhm.
prevailing in the country. I've also seen that no matter how, this is something which I wanted to say, but I just couldn't share with you, that we may have strongest courts, we may have strict laws, but until or unless people are driven from within, or they're motivated from within, that they should be following those laws.
Right.
We can't find
Mhm. Mm.
especially a democratic country, because here people have got freedom,
Mm.
right? Nobody is being pressurized, nobody is being forced to follow certain rules. They have been given certain amount of
Mm.
liberty.
Mm.
So if we don't feel this from within, then finding it, we'll be finding it difficult to follow all those rules. You might have seen, if we don't find any policeman, especially at the traffic lights, we'll find that nobody actually follows
Right.
the rules, because they love jumping the lights,
Yeah.
right? So the first thing we have to discuss is, tell me, if laws could ensure justice, then why do moral failures still destroy democracies?
Um, okay, let's first of all be very clear on these two different, terms. On the one hand, we are talking about morality,
Mhm,
and we would like to discuss morality, especially in the context of as a governing tool instrument, right?
mhm,
And on the other hand, we have law, which means prescribed punishments methods
mhm,
or other form of fines in terms of meeting up with the damages as one faces
mhm,
according to someone's wrongful commission, right?
mhm,
Now we have two different modes, right? Morality and law. Now we need to first understand that law is that works externally,
mhm,
which
mhm.
cannot regulate you inside.
Yeah,
Okay.
morality works
Yes,
from inside.
morality is far, far detached from the very impact of law
Mm.
and the fear of punishment, right?
Yes.
Even if someone decides to be in a rightful conduct,
Mm.
then it is sure that he must be cultivating this not out of the personal sense of what is good and what is
Mm.
right, but after a fear of losing life, as many punishments, basically threat to people that if you really commit a certain commission which is basically seen as a crime, then you might face capital punishments.
Mm.
So these punishments fear or generate fear in the mind of people. Now, people mostly people try to behave righteously, try to behave morally. They are not morally from inside, but they act just because they want to just be away from these kinds of law and punishments provisions
Mm.
because it's really harsh in most of the cases. And for example, lifetime imprisonment and capital punishments. However, capital punishment has not been quite very regular because it
Mm.
is still seen as inhuman practice under the legal system, because we are humans and treating other as a human, and therefore we should not impose these kind of capital punishment. So the thing is, then we have a law. It means doesn't mean that things are itself going to be fixed. It's not
Mm.
possible. It is not possible. Therefore, many people right from the beginning have always emphasized that people must cultivate morality in them.
Mm.
Those people have a sense of understanding between what is good and what is bad. These people are basically called virtuous, which
Mm.
means they really don't need these, fear
Mm.
to be hovering on them, and only then they perform good. These people are internally so convinced and so clear about the norms of the society, about the need of the society as to what are those essential factors which really help govern the society,
Mm.
and they act in that way. So therefore, these people are called virtuous. So we have to be working towards becoming virtuous rather than to be acting according to the law. If I say I'm acting according to the law, which means the
I'm not
time.
willing.
Yes, which means if I say I'm acting according to the law, which means yes, I'm right, but it also indicates that the time when the law keeps its surveillance away from me, I
Mm.
may be
I will
something
become in
else.
my
I
true
will
self.
definitely I will be in my own nature,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
So I will be adopting some ferocious way to deal with the society. So therefore, morality is still in need. Law cannot be as assertive as moral, because
Mm.
once people are moral, I'm not
Mm.
talking about the absolute utopian conditions to
Mm.
be somewhere conceived of a society where all people are quite moral
Mm.
and therefore we don't have any sort of law
Mm.
as a need. I'm talking about if people develops even 20 or 30% of morality in them,
Mm.
and they develop a sense that what is good and what is, then I think law and the expenditures on law which happens, because everything pertaining to the law takes place after having a lot of discussion, after having involvement a lot of resources, right? So these things could be to a certain extent managed if people develop morality. So therefore, morality comes first, and thereafter comes law.
Simply want to say that morality means doing the right things when nobody is watching.
Right.
And this is only possible when you think that this is the best thing you can do. If you are feeling a kind of force being imposed on you or being used, by others, then you may be doing things, but somewhere when those things are taken away, the surveillance, as you said, that when it is taken away, then you will be coming into your true colors, and then the things
Right.
will again be the same way as they were before. Tell me, can a nation with the corrupt citizens ever be truly democratic? And tell me, no matter how perfect its constitution is, we may have the perfect constitution, but if the people of the country are not at all, moralistic, or they are not, following the morals, do you think that a country can flourish?
See, I always try to understand this thing by basically forming a hypothetical, scene where I basically try to know from where the rule basically flows in, from where the authority flows in, and from where the exact, thought process as to how a society should be governed flows in, right? And I have just I've been convinced by actually experiencing the entire surrounding that it is the elder from where the power flows in, right? And the younger one has to be at the point of recipient. So the way elder, behaves or conducts in the society, the younger obviously has to follow accordingly. Now, what I mean to say here by bringing this analogy of younger and elder, the authority sitting at the top, in whose hand this very entire constitutional system is handed over, is basically the younger one. And they have the power in their hands. Since they have the power in their hands, so they have to be very much moral, right? Or moralistic. And therefore, there is a term called constitutional morality, which is a very famous constitutional term, constitutional morality, where every person sitting at the top of the position, including the field of judiciary or executive or the parliament, has to act morally. If they don't act morally, then we don't expect the subordinate to be acting accordingly, right? Because they have the power in their hands and they have to ensure the importance and the significance of the morality in the society. And if they don't do that, then obviously the people sitting or somewhere standing in the lowest or the least pedestal, I think will be somewhere drastically affected by it. So these are the people who basically basically enact those policies in favor of the people. And if they do falsifications in those policies, which means that if they do a certain kind of corruptions in those policy, or they embezzle with the funds which was basically declared for the welfare of the people,
Yeah.
then you cannot expect the countries to to thrive and flourish. So the question that you asked me, I just want to say that I think people sitting at the top, right, have to be very much consistent with the law and orders, and they have to set up benchmarks. There should not be any scope of compromise on that, right? Because energy and the power and the authority flows from there. And if the higher authority corrupts completely, then I think it is not at all a matter whether you and me as a common or a lay person needs to be moral or not. Even if you are moral or me being moral, I don't think will produce something as a bigger in the society until unless the person sitting at the top are highly moralistic, because the energy and the power flows. For example, we worship God. We have a strong faith in God. Tomorrow, if the God appears to be corrupt, then do we even have a kind of respect for the God? Probably not. This is just a hypothetical situation. The higher authority has to be very much intact with that morality, then everything is going to be all right. And if it is vice versa, and I think this is going to be a complete, debacle of the society.
The same, we have read in the Ramayana when goddess Sita, she came, and then somebody uh, started, thought of, stigmatizing her, saying that she spent night somewhere, and then Lord Rama was aware of the same thing, right? He knew very well that it cannot be done by Goddess Sita, but being a king, he had to take it into consideration, and then he detached, you can
Right.
say, or separated. He got separated from Sita because he wanted to establish, he wanted to set some examples for the people to follow.
Right.
Same has to be done by those who are holding the high positions, those who are authorities, right? This is what you're trying to say.
Right.
Unless these people responsible uh, set some examples, we cannot expect people
Right.
to do the same, right?
Absolutely.
Somewhere we have this tendency that we always love to follow those who are higher than us,
Right. Right.
those who are greater than us,
Right.
right? If, for example, let's take the example of a leader. A leader wants the team to produce some good results, but he himself or she herself is not producing any result, and they're not at all putting in efforts. So can they expect the same to be done by those from the team? It's never possible, because somewhere you have to put in efforts. You have to do the justice with the post you are you're holding, right? Tell me, do you think morality should come from the law, or does law create morality in society? What do you think?
See, it's very clear and crystal. Uh, and I think this can be easily understood at an individual level. If you act under an apprehension
Mhm.
of a certain law that hangs over you, as if you can, or if you do a certain crime or commission of offense, then you are going to get punishment accordingly.
Mhm.
And out of that fear, you basically try to conduct yourself. Otherwise, you are all free and you have certain, malignancy in your mind towards the
Mhm.
society. Then in that case, it proves itself that it is morality that comes first, than
Mhm.
the law. Because law is, as I told you, that deals with your external, external conduct, which means you act morally, you act according to the law, but doesn't mean that you are moral. The
Mhm.
time when you have full freedom and the time when you have no patrolling on you, you may act anything, as what
Mhm.
usually seen that in the darkness, the heinous crimes commits.
Mhm.
Why? Because darkness refers to taking away all the surveillance.
Mhm.
Okay, and therefore people feel quite of free and
Mhm.
liberated.
Yeah.
And in that way, they act according to their whims and fancies. For
Mhm.
them, law doesn't make a big difference to them because
Mhm.
by the time the night strikes or night falls, I think people become blind to their own fanciful world.
Mhm.
And they know that as long as people are not there to catch us red-handed,
Mhm.
then I think it's better to go with the crime. In fact, one of the famous stories, a very short story of Pluto, she says that if you are given a chance to steal a ring which is of gold, and there is a precondition that you are not going to be caught red-handed forever, which
Mhm.
means you're not going to be brought into the limelight that you are the stealer,
Mhm.
then would you still then try to steal that
Most of
gold
the
ring?
people would do that.
Most of the people will do that,
Mhm.
right? So your reality, your morality is basically a test that is to be done only when there is no surveillance on you and you
Mhm.
still acting, morally. That is what moral is, and therefore I always, keep moral first and then the law.
Mhm.
Yes.
You simply want to say that if you want to know your true nature,
Hmm.
then keep yourself aloof from people and then see how you behave. Because
Obviously.
then the real person in you will come out. And then
Obviously.
you'll be able to see what you are, what you really are. Otherwise, we are so good at acting that we
Yeah.
are wearing so many masks. People cannot identify us. People say that he's my good friend, but you don't know that he's not actually, because he's wearing this mask which you are unable to identify, or you cannot fathom, right?
Right.
So people nowadays, people are really good actors, and
Pretentious
yeah,
completely.
they are pretending to be what they're not, and they're making people believe whatever they're doing. So as you said that this only you can only know yourself when everything is all the surveillance is taken away from you, and then how you behave and how you act, that
Yeah.
is your real nature.
And then if still that seems to be a complicated process,
Mhm.
to basically have the real essence of
Mm-hmm.
what morality is, or whether it
Mm-hmm.
precedes, law or not,
Mm-hmm.
then do one thing today. Take a cell phone in your hand, which you usually do. This is for my audience.
Mm-hmm.
And the time when people are not around you,
Mm-hmm.
just look at yourself while you are getting with your cell phone on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Which websites you are basically approaching,
Yeah,
what exactly you are
that is
trying to
really
find
you.
out.
That is really you.
That is real you. That
Mm-hmm.
is your candidness. That's what I
Mm-hmm.
can say. So because there, there is no one,
Mm-hmm.
and you are enjoying in your privacy
Mm-hmm.
completely. And
Mm-hmm.
therefore, you have to just take a relook at your own personal self
Mm-hmm.
as to who you are, and then you will realize,
Mm-hmm.
truly realize, that it
Mm-hmm.
is law that is not the governing force of the
Mm-hmm.
society, but the morality. Because if the law were the governing force, then
Mm-hmm.
I think there would not be any war.
Mm-hmm.
There would not be any discrepancies
Mm-hmm.
among the people's thought process. There would not be any imbalances,
Mm-hmm.
especially in the way people conduct,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I think this is a very clear cut, reality, which people often
You
overlook.
know, I remember when I used to cycle to my institute. I used to go by my cycle because I found it very healthy. And initially, I used to go there by cycle, and I used to stop at the lights. And most of the people would say that, why do you need to stop? You are on the cycle, and you can go. Nobody will stop you. Then I used to tell them that I don't know whether people, I don't care whether people stop me or not, but I don't really find
Hmm.
myself
Hmm.
to be doing this because somewhere I'm the citizen and I'm supposed to be behaving the right way. And if nobody is there to watch me, or if my picture is not being taken by the cameras
Hmm.
there, then I don't be thinking, I should not be thinking about all these things because somewhere or not shows what kind of personality I'm carrying, right?
Correct.
So I don't really find myself to be doing all these things because if I want you to follow certain rules, and if I'm not following those rules, then I have no right to ask you to do those things because somewhere I should be doing all those things. Only then can I do that. And last but not the least, tell me if democracy is built on people's will, then shouldn't moral education be its foundation rather than law enforcement?
Uh, See, if you go back to the Constituent Assembly, right before the 1950, when we were handed over this very constitution,
Mm,
it was a discussion pertaining to the very same idea that we are trying to constitute a certain guideline in the name of constitution, which is basically a result of people's will, right?
mm.
We the people, why the people, for
For
the
the people,
people,
yes.
basically refers to the same idea
Mm-hmm.
that the whatever the constitution we have, which is a
Mm.
supreme in nature, is basically of our will.
Yes.
Now, here wills refers to the point where people have decided certain commonness among the
Mm-hmm.
approaches of people towards life,
Mm-hmm.
and therefore these laws are formulated in a very systematic manner. So if that particular ground is broken or violated, a person is basically considered to be a culprit for that, and he
Mm-hmm.
is going to face punishments accordingly, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have already this kind of constitution, but the reality is little different, or a completely different,
Mm-hmm.
because we have the constitution, and still we can see numerous instances which we cannot count on our fingertips, that where the law and order has been completely failed, to the point where people even have started discussing whether we need a certain kind of instrument which must be far better than the constitution. These days there is an emerging discussion where the constitution uh, has been sufficient for regulating the life of
The,
people in India, and people have their different opinions on that. Many people even criticize, constitution.
mm-hmm.
Reservation is one of those, point where many people really curse constitution,
Mm-hmm.
because constitution cannot bring about these kinds of, discrepancies or discriminations on the basis of caste whatsoever. But this is something a different discussion which we should not be going into. But the thing is this: the constitution we have, it is always on the, but the reality is different. So we did it for a rightful purpose,
Mm-hmm.
but we ended up having a certain different thing. What it shows, it doesn't show the failure of constitution.
Mm-hmm.
It
To
shows
the people.
it shows the failure of constitutional morality.
Yeah.
So again, the very point which comes here, which is basically a failure of constitution, is a morality failure. So
Mhm.
even if people have the morality intact in them, I think this constitution is the supreme and the most effective constitution
Mhm.
could ever be produced by different, because I still, being a lawyer, I still consider our constitution as one of the most effective constitution, which basically subsumes the essence of the world's constitutions, even if it is America or England or South Africa, Ireland. We have taken something from different to meet up with the diversified, needs of the people. So things were based on the rightful intention, but as I told you, everything ends up according to how you interact right from your intent rather than from your actions. Even the Bhagavad Gita talks more about your intent than your action.
Yes.
So your action must be consistent with your intent, right?
Your actions flow from your intentions.
Obviously. So intention is always that what matters a lot, and therefore I say that we have to work on an intention. The constitution will itself be sufficient or adequate.
So before I wrap this video up, I would love to tell the audiences that uh, we often compare India with America, with the other countries, and we always keep finding faults with the constitution, with the government and all, but we never try to search our own soul. And that is really very much important. Do we really follow everything that is given, given in the constitution that has been, told by the constitution? To be able to do that, and if you're doing things without being pressurized, without being forced, then we can say that yes, still now we are lacking somewhere
Right.
in somewhere in the progress, or as far as the progress is concerned, as far as the opportunities are concerned. But if we are not following those things, right, intentionally, or sometimes even under pressure, if we are following them truthfully, then we will see some better results. We'll see,
Yeah.
the success is also possible, and we can be as successful as other countries. So this is what I'm trying to say is, we should not be somewhere. Now we all are educated, right? And we have read all those things. The moral science was there,
Right.
but what we do now, we are doing everything in just name only,
Right.
right? So if we are really educated, and everybody is educated nowadays, if we are really educated, then we should be doing what is really acceptable.
Right.
And if we do those things, then that are not at all acceptable, then we haven't really learned the true sense of education. We are educated, but on papers.
Right.
We are qualified, but in the name only.
Right.
We are not at all qualified. We are not at all educated. And if we really want to say that we are educated, then we should be doing what an educated person is supposed to be doing. So with this, I'm taking a leave, and we'll be seeing you in the next video. Till then, take care.